Imagine a place where the sun is a death sentence, a landscape so brutal that any drop of water is evaporated before it even hits the ground. 120 degrees in the shade, no rivers for hundreds of miles, no rain for years at a time. This is the heart of the ancient Persian desert in 500 BC. By all laws of nature, this should be a graveyard. But instead, it was home to one of the most sophisticated empires in human history. These people didn't just survive. They lived in luxury. They had lush green gardens, sparkling fountains, and even ice-cold drinks in the middle of July. How is that possible? How did a civilization 2,500 years ago, without electricity, engines, or modern pumps, manage to have running water in the middle of a wasteland? The answer is hidden beneath the sand. It is a secret of engineering so advanced that we are still using it today. Welcome to the story of the Qanat, the invisible megastructure that conquered the desert. To understand the scale of this achievement, you first have to understand the enemy, the Persian plateau. It is a geographical nightmare. The water is there, but it's trapped. Millions of gallons of snowmelt sit deep inside the mountain aquifers, miles away from where the people actually lived. If you tried to build a canal on the surface, the sun would steal your water in minutes. If you tried to dig a simple well in the city, you'd hit nothing but salt and dry dust. The Persians needed to move water across dozens of miles of burning sand, without the sun ever seeing it. Their solution was a suicide mission for the workers and a masterpiece for the architects. They called them the Muqannis. They were the elite well diggers, part engineer, part geologist, and part daredevil. Their tools, a leather bucket, a bronze pickaxe, and a simple oil lamp. Their job? To dig a tunnel that would change the world. It started with the mother well. The Muqannis would trek into the foothills of the mountains and dig vertically, sometimes 300 feet deep until they struck the water table. But getting to the water was the easy part. The real genius, the part that defies belief, was how they moved it. They didn't use pumps. They used the earth itself. They began digging a horizontal tunnel from the city, slowly working their way back toward that mother well in the mountain. But here is where the math becomes terrifying. The tunnel had to slope downward at a perfect angle. If the slope was too steep, the water would flow too fast and wash away the tunnel, collapsing the whole system. If it was too flat, the water would just sit there, stagnate, and never reach the city. We are talking about a precision of a few inches over a distance of several miles. And remember, they were doing this in total darkness, deep underground. To keep the line straight, they used plumb lines and oil lamps. To keep the slope perfect, they used levels that would make a modern engineer sweat. Every 50 yards, they dug a vertical shaft to the surface. From above, these looked like a line of mysterious anthills stretching across the desert. These weren't wells. They were air vents. They allowed the workers to breathe and served as elevators to haul out thousands of tons of dirt. It took decades to build a single Qanat. Generations of men lived and died in these tunnels, all to bring a single river to the surface. And when that water finally reached the city, it changed everything. Suddenly, the desert wasn't a wasteland anymore. It was an oasis. They invented air conditioning. They built tall, hollow chimneys called wind catchers. These towers would grab the hot desert breeze and funnel it down over the cold Qanat water. The air would cool instantly and flow into the homes, dropping the temperature by 30 degrees in seconds. While the rest of the world was sweltering in the heat, Persian royals were sitting in rooms that felt like they had modern AC units. In 500 BC, in a place where it rarely freezes, they built yakhchals. These were massive beehive-shaped structures made of a special heat-resistant mortar. At night, they would channel the cold Qanat water into shallow ponds shaded from the wind. Even in the desert, the night sky is cold enough to freeze water. They would harvest that ice, store it in the yakhchals, and keep it frozen all through the blistering summer. Imagine being a traveler in 500 BC. You've been walking through the dust for weeks, and you walk into a Persian city to find someone eating a chilled fruit sorbet. It would have looked like magic. This wasn't just survival. This was a civilization that had mastered its environment so completely that they made the impossible look easy. But here is the most shocking part of the story. These aren't just ancient ruins. Thousands of these Qanats are still working today. 2,500. Years later, the same tunnels dug by hand in the Age of Kings are still providing water to modern farms and villages. Think about that. Modern concrete dams often fail after 50 or 100 years. Modern pumps deplete our aquifers and ruin the soil, but the Qanat is perfectly sustainable. It only takes what the mountain gives. It is a technology that doesn't fight nature. It listens to it. We often look at the past and see primitive people. But the builders of the Qanat solved the most pressing crisis of the 21st century, water scarcity, using nothing but gravity and a pickaxe. They turned a death trap into a garden. They pulled life out of the shadows. The next time you turn on a faucet, remember the Muqannis. Remember the men who spent their lives in the dark so that a city could bloom in the sun. The desert doesn't have to be a desert. You just have to know where to dig.